Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, up, talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop.
Pull up a seat. You're now in Corey's Corner, where right conversations matter. I'm your host, Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Today on Corey's Corner, we're joined by a woman who is changing the way people think about housing, ownership, and wealth. Nikki Merkerson is a community development and housing specialist, real estate investor and developer who is passionate about making wealth-building opportunities attainable for everyday people. She's the founder of Urban Leisure, a Brooklyn-based co-living concept that uses shared housing to promote connection, collaboration, and smarter use of space. Nikki is also the visionary behind Pairgap, an innovative platform designed to match compatible partners to co-purchase property, making home ownership more accessible and affordable through shared investing. Before stepping fully into entrepreneurship, Nikki spent 23 years in financial services, most recently as a Community Reinvestment Officer at J.P. Morgan Chase, where she worked across the Northeast helping expand economic opportunity for underserved communities. She's here to talk housing, wealth, and how to build together. So let's get into it. Nikki, welcome to Corey's Corner.
Thanks for having me, Corey.
I'm so happy you're here. Been a long time.
I'm in Queens.
Queens get the money. Okay. I love it. This episode of Corey's Corner is sponsored by Vodka. That smooth, refreshing mixture of vodka and tequila. Drink responsible. And also, Corrupt Mob MC, one of the flyest motorcycle clubs in Queens. Respect the mob. Brotherhood is their number one mission. Now, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Before we delve into business and all the great things you are doing, as I talked about in your bio, let's talk about your background. Where did you grow up? How did your neighborhood and upbringing shape the way you think about housing, community, and economic opportunity?
So I grew up in South Jamaica, Queens, Rochdale Village, and I grew up to a single mom. My mom was a single mom with me and my older brother, and yeah, I had a decent childhood, but I did leave home early. So I left home at 17, and I had some housing insecurities, and so I moved around a lot. I moved from relative to friend to relative. I actually moved 22 times until I bought my first house.
Wow.
So housing was an issue for me growing up.
Oh, so that was close to your heart.
Oh, absolutely. That's why it's ironic that I'm in the housing industry, because I faced so many housing issues. And so I feel like my whole life I've been trying to figure it out, and I got it.
So we have something in common. I was on my own at 17 too. But what made you leave at 17?
You know, I often think about that, especially now as in this entrepreneurial space and reflecting. And I think I was always driven for more, right? Looking at, sitcoms like The Cosby Show, to me, that's how life should be.
Right.
And my life wasn't like that. And I feel like I went searching for that. So I left my mom's house and went to my dad's house. He lived in Lefrak City. And from there, I just started moving around, just trying to search for that sense of stability or belonging. So, yeah, I moved around a lot. And I think what changed everything is me getting a job at a bank. So I got a job at a bank at 20. I worked retail since I was 13. So I was really good at sales. And so I got a job as a teller in banking. And banking is all about sales, if you don't know, even if you're a teller. And so I was able to thrive in that space with that retail background. And so, yeah, I stayed in banking and made it a career for almost 25 years.
Nice. What was your early relationship with money and home ownership? Did you see real estate as a path to stability or wealth growing?
Well, I can say that I come from a generation of renters. So home ownership wasn't present in my life growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I had one family member, my aunt and my uncle, and they owned a home, and so they kind of had I called them the Cosbys, because they had that American dream.
And that's where everybody gathered for the holidays.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody gathered there. We would go over there for weekends. And so they had the house, they had the yard, they had the dog,
The
you
white
know?
picket fence.
Exactly.
Yes.
They lived that American dream. So I think I was always, striving for that. But my life was definitely untraditional, you
Mm-hmm.
know? I had children. I had my first child when I was 20. I had my second at 23.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as a single mom, I just repeated the cycle,
Mm-hmm.
even though I wanted different.
Right. Okay. Well, sometimes it happens, but you eventually got it together. Before the titles and accomplishments, who is Nikki Merkerson early on, and what moments or influences helped shape your purpose? Drove you to work so hard and be so successful.
Um, I think homelessness, like not having a home to call my own and having that sense of stability was really the driving force. So working in banking, I was able to excel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that became my identity, being a mother and working in banking.
Right.
So I'm definitely a workaholic. But I think that that's what really shaped my life.
All right. So listen, a lot of people listening, they want to own property. All
Yeah.
right. There's so much confusion and misinformation. That
Yeah.
I could talk to like 10 different realtors and I'm gonna hear 10 different things, or probably 20 different things from the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
realtors. So much information, bad information or confusion information. How much money do you really need to buy a home? And what are the biggest misconceptions about down payments and credit scores?
So I think that the first thing is really just believing that you can own. A lot of people think that home ownership is not for them. Like, oh, I'll never be able to own a home.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step is belief. In terms of money, it depends. When I purchased my house, it was at a time where you can just breathe and you're able to get a mortgage.
Right.
And so I took advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
I not only bought one house, but I bought two homes.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't buy them in Queens, even though I grew up in Queens. I bought them in Brooklyn
Mm-hmm.
because I was infatuated with brownstones after
Mm-hmm.
working in Harlem,
Right.
and I wanted a brownstone.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
That was a good investment.
oh no. My family thought I was crazy though. They're like, "What? Why the heck would you buy in
Right.
Brooklyn?" Right?
Uh-huh.
And it was in Bed-Stuy, do or die Bed-Stuy at the
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just being in the mortgage industry, it really taught me about money.
Mm-hmm.
Being in banking in general, it changed the trajectory of my life.
Right.
And it really gave me that financial education. I never finished college, but I had the best education in banking.
Right.
And so I was able to learn what it took to actually own a home.
What are the biggest misconceptions on down payments and credit scores?
Yeah. So I'm right now, it's the good thing is that they're loosening up, right? After the market crashed in 2008, things are really tightened. It wasn't as easy as when I purchased a home
Mm-hmm.
to get a home. But now, there are different programs out there that allow you to put less down. Back in the day, there was like zero down. You didn't have to put anything. You can even wrap the closing costs in there. And I think those days are coming back because there's more encouragement around home ownership and wanting people to own. And so now you can definitely find programs where you can put as little as 3% down. There's all types of like fintech companies now that help contribute towards your down payment. So there are some 0% down programs out there. I just think that if you're in it, you will find the program that fits your needs. So if it's lack of down payment, if it's, a lower credit score, even the credit bureaus or different lenders are just really they're loosening up the criteria so that more people can own homes.
Okay.
Because it's getting more difficult. Rates went up. Home prices are ridiculous. New York, where we are now, is like home to billionaires now, right? We have more billionaires than anyone. And so it's just the competition is definitely.
And all my friends that sold their house and moved down south, they can't get back.
Oh, they can't come back.
Priced out.
They can't come back. No. But then how about the young people that want to buy, that want to, invest in real estate at a young age? They can't do it. It's almost impossible. And which is why we need to come up with solutions that are innovative, that, will allow more people to get in the market before it's too late.
So speaking of that, you and I, we both got some young kids looking to eventually buy houses. What do you suggest? Should they look at condominiums as opposed to
No, I wouldn't look
houses?
I wouldn't look at a condo as the first thing I would look at when purchasing a property is neighborhood. Neighborhood is going to dictate equity, which will dictate the wealth, right? And so buying in the right neighborhood is key. Buying in Bed-Stuy 20 years ago made me a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? And so it's important that we be intentional about where we buy and look at the plan for that city. So every city has a plan. You look at any city's planning department, they have plans 10, 20, 30 years out. And so
how do you find that information?
You can go to the planning department of that city. So if you want New York City, you go to the New York City planning department, and it'll tell you the plan for each neighborhood 10, 20, 30 years out. And it tells you what's going to come, what type of development projects are coming in different areas.
Wow.
And so before I bought in Brooklyn, Barclays was in that plan. I bought 6 years before Barclays was built. And so if we can be more intentional about where we buy, then when neighborhoods start to change and gentrify, then we can be part of that gentrification and benefit from it, as opposed to like being priced out.
So is it true it's a good idea to buy the worst house in the best neighborhood?
Oh, heck yeah. If you can get it for a good price,
If you
right?
can get it for a good price.
Yes, I mean, of course, if you can buy in a good neighborhood, a up and coming neighborhood, and even the neighborhood next to the neighborhood that came up. Right? Because it all happens in a wave. And so it happened in Bed-Stuy, then it's going to hit Bushwick. I mean, it already hit Bushwick, Clinton Hills, right? Crown Heights. So just talking about Brooklyn, but even Jamaica. Like, I came back to Jamaica just to tell people who live in Jamaica to buy in Jamaica. Right? Because when you grow up in the hood, it's hard to vision that hood looking different. You're like, I'll never buy here. The goal is to get out the hood, right? But now the goal is to stay in the hood as long as you know what's about to happen in the hood. So you see all downtown Jamaica, right? First of all, downtown. Like, we never even called it downtown.
That's right.
You go to Jamaica, Queens now, you look up, there's a skyline.
Yes.
That was in the plan 20 years ago.
Wow.
Right? And so it's important to, look at landmarks like transportation. That's the biggest thing. When I think about Queens now, I'm excited because Corona, where Shea Stadium used to be, that City Field is now. They just got the casino license. They're going to open a casino. There's an entire sports center over there.
Soccer stadium.
International soccer stadium, right? And so I have family that lives in East Elmhurst off of Ditmars Boulevard. And I'm like, that's going to go crazy when it comes to your property, right? And start to think about how you can make money off your property, right? So now that American dream no longer exists. You have to have some type of cash flow component when you're buying homes. So they have a 2-family house and they have an attic. They can build up. They can Airbnb that. You got the airport there. You got the workers there. You got the the international soccer stadium come in. People can Airbnb come into town, and you can make money. You can make 4,000 or 5,000 off of Airbnb.
Mm.
So we have to stop thinking of home ownership as that when I grow up, get married, buy a house, that white picket fence, that American dream. It no longer exists. And we have to really think about the house as a business, right? Because when things go bad, you can always make money and hustle your house, right? To be able to sustain home ownership. The easiest part is getting the house. The hardest part is keeping the house.
What would you tell somebody that had a house for 25 years and never took a dime out of the house? No
Stop.
refinance, no nothing.
Stop holding your equity hostage. Like, it doesn't benefit you. It's an asset, and we need to start treating it as an asset. And that means leveraging the crap out of it, right?
So what do they do?
What do? They can
take money out to buy more property?
Okay, so first of all, if it's a single family resident, like, how can you leverage, right? So let's just say this house is by the train station. Do you have a parking space? Right? Because parking is crazy. And so you can make money off that parking space. So even in single family homes, you can rent rooms. If things get tight, you can rent a room fully furnished to a student, to a foreign student. There's so many even the situation at the airport. You can do it to, an airport airline worker, right? They have that layover, they need a place to stay. So yeah, leverages and everything. I forgot your question.
About the equity. Someone that has a house for so many years but never.
Oh, yes. So yeah, pulling out that equity to be able to reinvest it in an asset that's going to make them more money. So the name of the game is cash flow, right? Because you need that cash flow every month. So if you're refinancing, now you don't want to refinance to the point where you can't afford the mortgage, right? You need to pull out as much as you can cover monthly.
Right.
Okay, so if that means that it includes a rental, then you pull out enough that includes that rental so that you can manage it, right? You don't want to over leverage.
Right.
Once you pull that out, you can reinvest it in more property. You can reinvest it in a stock market. You can reinvest it in a business, right? So I just sold a property so that I can reinvest in my business. And that was probably one of the hardest things I did because we're taught to keep that property, never sell, right? Mm-hmm. So it took me a couple of years to make the decision, but I had to, boss up. I had to say, hey, I'm selling this property to reinvest it in $1 billion business, right? And that's what I'm building, $1 billion business. And that's what wealth is all about, is being able to build wealth and leverage to continue to build wealth so that you can, maintain wealth.
Nice. Is it better to buy now or wait for the market to change?
I'm sorry, I laughed about that because that is what a lot of people think. And it's just like, waiting could be detrimental. You don't know what it's going to do. So the market change, what does that mean? Does that mean, am I waiting for rates to go down? So as rates are going down, home prices are going up.
Right.
So it's kind of like, the best time to buy is when you have the balls to buy, right? And so that's any time. When you see a good deal, you buy, regardless of what the rates are, because you can always refinance. But as home prices go up, and home prices continuously go up, we're in a market in New York where home prices continuously go up, you may miss the opportunity. So it's always a good time to buy. I think now it's more about creativity and being creative with that purchase. And again, treating that home as an asset and leverage.
Okay. What's the smartest first move in real estate if your goal is to build wealth, not just buy a place to live?
Location. Location is all about location. I also used to work in Philadelphia. And once I got to Philadelphia, I was like, this is New York 10, 15 years ago. And so I decided to purchase in Philadelphia. I bought a property in a neighborhood that's
row house.
A row house. It is. It's not considered. I guess it is considered a row house. It is considered a row house, but it was in a neighborhood that was like the number one opioid epidemic, Kensington. But it was kind of on a
I
border.
know
You know
Kensington.
Kensington.
Yes.
It was kind of on a border of Fishtown and Kensington, like
Okay.
off of Frankfurt. And so when I started working in that area, I had my eye on that neighborhood. And I told people that were from Philly, and they were like, "Are you crazy? I'm scared for you. Don't buy there." And I wound up buying there. And 2 months later, JP Morgan invested like 100 million in their commercial corridor. So once you see corporations start investing in commercial corridors, then you know that neighborhood's about to gentrify.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a smart move, and now that property is worth double, triple what I paid for it, and I bought it in 2018. So I think that, neighborhood is the most important around the world.
Right.
Neighborhoods are changing. They're gentrifying. I think it has to do a lot with urban areas. And so even when you go in parts of Long Island, right, you'll have a restaurant row, you'll have a bunch of coffee shops and bike lanes, and they're urbanizing everything. So it's important to really pay attention to the neighborhood to see what's going to happen so that you can get in before it actually happens.
Y'all listening. She's dropping jewels on Corey's Corner for all of y'all young people or middle-aged people looking to get property or older people holding on to their house. Leverage the money. So let's talk about how you got here professionally. Let's start with your journey. What first sparked your interest in real estate, community development, and wealth building through housing?
Well, working in the mortgage industry as a loan officer. And so when I was 23, after being a teller, and I started in banking as a teller, and then I went to customer service, and then I started working in the mortgage industry. And so I was able to originate mortgage loans and help people reach their goal of home ownership. And I love doing that work because just imagine being able to see what people make, like every profession,
Mm-hmm.
lawyers, doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you hear people say, when I grow up, I want to be a teacher, or, it's like, okay, well, does that fit the lifestyle that you want to live? Right. Being able to see the incomes, which really dictate the lifestyle. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was fascinating. And then also seeing wealthy people and how they manage their money, right? When you go for a mortgage, you have to strip, get financially naked,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'm having conversations that, well, let's just say men don't even have with their wives, right? Because
Right.
maybe
They're
the man
they're
is
holding on to a little something.
exactly. I know more than their wife, right? And so if they're the breadwinner, they would have to kind of strip down and show me all their finances and how they manage their money, like how they moved it around and how they invested in property. And I think the most impactful scenario was I had two women. They were not from this country. They were from a Hispanic country. I don't really remember. I think it was Colombia or Venezuela. And they worked for Estee Lauder. And they were young. They were in their 20s. And they made a six-figure salary, a little over 100,000, and they bought a condo together. And I remember doing their mortgage, and then a couple of months later, actually a couple of years later, probably like 2 years later, they came back to refinance, and that property value shot up. And I couldn't believe it. I think they bought it for like six something, and then by the time they came, it was worth over $1 million. And they were able to cash out, and one of the sisters were able to now buy her own apartment.
Right.
And so I was fascinated by that. First of all, they were bold to even think that you have the audacity to buy a luxury condo in Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they did. And they were able to, leverage it and buy more property. And so, one, that's collaborative ownership, right? They decided to get together. Neither one were married. And then two, I just really learned how real estate can take you to the next level. But that wasn't a story that I feel like left an impact. Like, okay, they can do it. It can be done. I still didn't think I can do it until my kid's father, whose parents passed away, left him and his sisters a home. And I was able to help him refinance that home, buy his sisters out, and, take ownership of the home.
Right.
And once I was able to do that, and I saw that I was able to do that for him, I said, I can do this for myself. So that really inspired me. Especially when he said, your name ain't going on his deed. Then I was like, oh, I got to go get my own home. And so that's when I started really saying, I'm going to do this, right? I sacrificed. I left my apartment that I was in and I went to my friend's basement with my 2 kids as a single mom. And I stayed there for about a year and 6 months. I was able to fix my credit. I was able to save up a little money. And then the next year I was able to buy the house in Brooklyn, a multifamily.
You spent 23 years in financial services, including senior leadership at JP Morgan. How did that experience shape the way you approach real estate today? That millions and millions of dollars had to come through while you was there, and you just set some examples of you had some low income, moderate, and some rich people. So how did that experience working there, being a senior advisor, shape?
I think it helped me a lot. I think working in a corporation and not having formal education, that was my education. And so I absorbed everything. I leveraged relationships. I was able to kind of climb up the corporate ladder. While a lot of people were coming in with degrees, I was able to, excel through experience. And so I worked as a teller, I worked in customer service, I worked in the mortgage industry. And once you work in the mortgage industry, you're like self-employed.
You work closely with low and moderate income communities. From your perspective, what are the biggest barriers to home ownership right now?
Belief. Um, working in that space is really about convincing that people who have been long-term renters that they can actually become owners. Like, ownership is not just for people with money or like the wealthy, right?
Right.
Working class people can buy homes. And the whole goal is really to help them understand how lenders look at them, right? And what they're calculating. The biggest thing is your lenders look at your gross salary and not your net salary. And
I know.
so
I never
a lot of
understood
people
that.
don't, there are so
Yeah.
many other things that you pay
Right.
in terms of debt that's not on your credit report, but lenders only look at the debt from your credit report, which is a good thing in a way because it helps more people qualify.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also try to scale down the other debt that you have that's not included on your credit report. So if you have a car, you can get rid of the car, not pay the car, and have more available income to go toward a mortgage. You can kind of adjust it. But it's a good thing that they only look at the gross salary
Right.
because it allows a lot of people to buy homes. But
Well, I'm gonna tell you, it was scary for me buying my house. So I was a lieutenant. I don't know how much I was making. Probably a little bit under 100 at the time.
mhm.
Went down. They had like a grand opening at Washington Mutual Bank on
I
125th Street in
remember
Harlem.
WAMU.
WAMU, yeah. So I just went there for the grand opening as, cops, we was there. And one of the financial guys was talking to me. I was like, yo, I want to get a house. He's like, you want to get a house? Like, come and see me tomorrow. To fill out this paperwork. I'm paying child support. Wasn't really making a whole bunch of money. And he called me the next day. Was like, you approved for $335,000. I was like, what?
See?
I said, yo, man, stop playing with me. You serious? I can go get a house? Ended up going to get a house. I still couldn't believe it until I was in that room signing all them damn papers. And
But
that was
as a
just my
lieutenant
salary.
for NYPD,
Yes.
you didn't believe that you can buy a house. That's what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter.
Again, growing up on welfare, living on top of number spots, and
Yeah.
didn't think I could do it.
Yeah. It's embedded
And it
in your
happened.
head that
Yes.
that's only for the wealthy,
Mhm.
even though you're making more money.
Yes.
You know, and so that's the biggest thing, is really convincing working class people that they can, instead of paying rent and paying your landlord's mortgage, you can actually pay your own mortgage. Okay.
We're at this segment that we call a Spitfire round. Well, I ask you 10 rapid fire questions. You give me one word answers, yes or no, or a word.
Just one word.
It's simple stuff. Watch.
All right.
You ready?
Let's go.
You want to take a toast?
All right, let's take a toast.
Let's
Spitfire.
see, you be the first one to do one word answers. Everybody else is giving paragraphs.
All right, one word.
Let's go. Renting or owning?
Ownership.
Single family home or multi-unit property?
Multi-unit.
Best age to start investing in real estate?
18. No, wait. Yeah. 21.
Okay. One word to describe the current housing market?
Opportunity.
Biggest myth about buying property?
Biggest myth about buying property.
You said it earlier, like you can't do
That
it.
you can't, but that's more than one word.
That was gonna be more than one.
I was trying to see if I could sum it up in one word.
Okay.
Like, so the biggest myth is unaffordability.
Okay. I like it. I like that. Co-owning with a partner, smart move or risky?
Strategic.
Cash flow or appreciation? What matters more?
Both.
Best advice you ever received about money?
The best advice is always have an emergency fund.
Great. Worst financial mistake people make with real estate?
Over leverage.
One habit everyone should have before buying a home?
Paying your bills on time.
Yes. Thank you for participating in the Spitfire round. Before we jump back in, I want to speak about my book, Once a Cop, The Street, the Law, Two Worlds, One Man, that I wrote. You know, we always on the show talking about leadership, accountability, redemption. It's all personal for me. It's all in the book. And it actually was turned into a feature documentary on Hulu called A Cops and Robbers Story. Asking for you to either read the book, watch the documentary, or do both. And make sure you email me at oncoryscorner@gmail.com to give me your thoughts. And thanks for the emails that's been coming through. I really appreciate the support. Now, a word from our sponsors.
This is not your average vodka. This is Vodkila, a decade of cultured excellence. The best of both worlds, the true taste of victory. A delicious dyad spirit, the world's finest blend of vodka and tequila. Vodkila, the perfect blend. From rooftop parties to quiet moments with friends, Vodkila brings the flavor, the fire, and the unforgettable. So pour it, share it, live it. Vodkila. Visit vodkila.net and order yours today.
I'm Nikki Merkerson, and I want you to check out Corey's Corner on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
You're the founder of Urban Leisure, a co-living concept. For listeners who may be unfamiliar, what is co-living and why is it such a powerful housing model? Now, before you answer, I've been following you on social media for a while, and I saw, I don't know, it might be like a year ago, 2 years, you was talking about this co-living and how it's good, and I was like, I ain't ain't living with no stranger. But you was pumping this thing up. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on the show, because you got to tell the people about this. You said this is a good deal.
So co-living is roommates, like on steroids, right? Because you have people that live together, but there's a theme to it. So for my co-living space, it was for creators and innovators. You have some for entrepreneurs. You have some for seniors. And what it is it's room rental, fully furnished, fully equipped. So you're moving into a space that has everything. So you can just come with your backpack and just live.
So what do you rent these out by weeks or
No,
year?
So short-term rental is 30 days or under. This is usually mid-term rental. So we do 3 months to a year. And so
different people are cycling through?
Different people are cycling through. So it's people that need to stay in a space for a short period of time, right?
Okay.
So it may be 6 months because, they're taking a class or they have a job or a project. And so they're coming into a particular city that they don't live in and they're staying for a short time. So it's not like long-term leases, like a year or two. And so these spaces have a theme. And so it's really about finding community. It's all about community. If you look at the way real estate is moving right now, it's all around community and being with like-minded people so that you can thrive. And so that's what co-living is all about.
So you had like a niche.
Yeah.
Because you was doing like Broadway, actors, artists from the village and stuff like that.
Well, I was doing so what happened was, again, sustaining homeownership is hard.
Right.
I bought in a gentrified neighborhood. Prices went up. My taxes went up. They went from like $3,500 to $7,000.
I live in Long Island.
Right?
Don't tell me about no taxes. Please
you
don't
know.
tell me about
You
no
know.
taxes. Y'all ain't got no taxes. I wish I had $7,000
Yes.
in tax. I'll pay it
Yes.
tomorrow. Here, taxes paid.
But see, that's why I moved to, I bought in Brooklyn because the taxes were low.
Yes.
So that big jump, it affects everything. And so in order to be able to sustain it, I had to think of more ways to build cash flow. And so I've always been like a daredevil,
Right.
trying new things. And so I discovered co-living, and initially I said, let me ease into it. I started with student housing.
Okay.
And so I started working with students from a culinary school. So all of the students that came in that stayed short term, they came in because they wanted to take a program at a culinary school. And it was ICE at the time. And then we got deeper into it when my son graduated from college. And he's like, I don't want to go back to school to get another degree. And so I told him, you got to work for the business.
Right.
And so I made him a CEO of a co-living company at 23, and we opened the space for creators and innovators. And so he was in a creative space. He was
Right.
a DJ. He was around all of these amazing kids that were so talented. And the goal was really to incorporate my financial education experience to creators and innovators, right? Because the reason why these creators don't excel or reach their max is because money is always an issue, right?
Always.
And so the goal is to come in and educate them on financial education while being in a space where they can be around other creators and network and, grow. And so that's what we did. We opened the space after COVID, and we were able to bring in some amazing people, and some stayed 2-3 years. And so not only did that allow community, but it also allowed me, living in a gentrified community, to increase my cash flow.
Right.
And so I went from, renting a 2-family double duplex 4/4, getting $8,000 to $12,000, $13,000 a month.
Right.
Just because now they're not paying for an apartment, they're paying for an experience.
Right.
And so really creating the experience for people to be able to thrive in a space where they can make new connections and grow.
Wow. I love
And that's why I love co-living. Like co-living, that was like a really great experiment that I did. And it just really helped a lot of people, build relationships and really grow in the spaces that they were in.
How does speaking of co-living, how does co-living help address issues like housing affordability, density, and community connection? You spoke on community connection, especially in cities like New York.
So co-living being an affordability play is kind of a stretch, because in a way it is, because everything is included in the rent. Utilities, you don't have to pay for furniture, you don't have to pay for any type of kitchen supplies.
Who's cleaning this place?
We have a cleaner once a month. You have a cleaner, you clean your own personal space, but a cleaner comes
For
to
the deep cleaning.
Exactly. And so in that aspect, it is affordable. But when you're talking $1,500 for a room, I believe it's more about convenience. And so it could be an affordability play, but it's also a convenience play.
Right.
Right. So eliminating all the things that you have to do when you rent an apartment, it gives you more time to create.
Okay, so another major barrier to home ownership is doing it alone, and that's where Pairgap comes into play. You founded Pairgap, which takes a very innovative approach to home ownership. What problem were you trying to solve when you created that platform?
Now, that's all about affordability. And so because I was able to help myself sustain by creating a new concept in housing and shared housing, Pairgap was really around people owning together, right? So roommate situation with ownership. And so I was on a dating site, and I was fascinated how the algorithm was able to match people based on compatibility. And I'm like, this would be really unique in home ownership. If people could come together, mostly families, because I was supporting low to moderate income families at the time. So how about the mother, the grown kids that still live in the house, and the grandparents pool their money together, and they're able to afford something that they can buy instead of renting.
Right.
And so I started really working on the idea. And after being in banking almost 25 years, I resigned, because I really felt that this can be, like I said, I'm that ideas person. I'm like, I got an idea, I'm going to quit, and I'll do it before I really think about it.
I love it.
But I did it. I resigned and launched Pairgap, and it's really an opportunity for people to combine their incomes and be able to buy and own, especially in a market like New York.
Yes. You often talk about leveraging the shared economy. Why do you believe co-ownership is one of the most underutilized wealth building strategies today?
$276 billion in a mortgage loans originated in 2022 were for non-married buyers. And so people are already doing this. I've seen it in my career. I've had up to 8 people on a mortgage. So it's actually a hack.
Wow.
Right? Because the bank doesn't care about the relationship. They only care about credit, income, assets.
Right.
Right? And so
y'all listening to this. I love it. I love it.
This is a way to really...
8 people on a mortgage.
I've seen 8 people on a mortgage. Right. I've seen 8 people on a mortgage. So it's definitely underutilized. But people are doing it. There's no platform at the time when I launched Pairgap that helps facilitate these transactions. How do people protect themselves? Like, that's the biggest thing. You get into a situation like this with a family member, conflict is going to happen. It's inevitable.
Gotta be very trusting relationships.
You do.
You're talking about $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 is on the line.
Exactly.
And if you don't pay, I still gotta pay.
And you're on the hook for it.
We're on the hook
and if
for
you
it.
don't, you ruin your whole credit,
Yeah, whole family,
profile.
everybody profile is messed up.
Exactly. And people are still doing it and get into conflict, but there's no platform out there that helps you do this. So my goal was to really create a space where people can do these transactions. One, be able to match with people that they're compatible with, because just because you and I are relatives doesn't mean we're compatible.
Exactly.
Right? What are our goals, long term and short term? I want to, fix and flip property. You want to buy and hold. That doesn't align. We got to have the same type of goals,
Right.
And the same end game. And so that's what Pairgap is about. It's really creating a space where people can, one, vet partners. So similar to a dating site, right? You're building your profile, you're putting your goals in there. Everything is transparent, right? All your financials, and you can find a partner that you're compatible with to go into this partnership with. The house is the business and your partner's in business.
Right.
And then the second thing is protection. Our real estate prenup is all about protection, making sure we know the roles and responsibilities, who's managing the tenants, who's responsible for any repairs that need to be done.
Real estate prenup. I've never
The
heard
real
that.
estate prenup.
Heard that on Corey's Corner first. Real estate prenup.
Yes, you heard that from Pairgap first. So,
Yes.
the real estate prenup is, and the reason why I created that,
How does that stand up in court?
it's a contract, just like any other contract.
Is it ironclad?
Absolutely. You go, we create the template for you. You take it to your attorney. Your attorney solidifies that, and it stands up in court, just like any business partnership. But again, the house is the business, and you are partners in this transaction.
I
in
love
business.
it.
Yeah, you're business partners.
Pairgap. I love it. Real estate prenup. Oh, I love it. Call my daughter tomorrow, my son. Let's go get a house.
Exactly.
We're going to do a prenup, though. We're going to
Just
do a prenup.
imagine how much further you can go. Life is hard right now, right? Assets is everything. Ownership is everything, especially when we have not only other buyers, we have corporations buying single family homes.
Yeah.
What does that say to you?
I know.
Where are we going?
Yeah.
We're going into a renter's economy where the rich will own and everyone else will rent. And so the only way to get in before that happens is through collaborations, because waiting, like you said, you're going to wait and, you're going to crap out.
This isn't just about individuals. It's about systems. You worked across public, private, and nonprofit sectors.
Yes.
How important is collaboration between banks, government, and community organizations in solving the housing crisis?
It's very important. Simultaneous to creating Pairgap, I also have a 501c3 nonprofit called the National Co-Living Association, so NCLA, and they advocate for shared housing as a solve for housing affordability. So one, I was able to sustain homeownership by opening that co-living space, right? Otherwise, I don't know how I would have been able to keep my home, right? I was in a crisis, and that helped me. So shared housing can help you sustain home ownership. But not only that, it can get more people in homes. And so the goal is to really work with government, to work with nonprofit housing organizations, to work with the real estate community to introduce a new way that they can get their clients or their communities into homes through collaboration.
As a real estate investor and developer, what trends are you seeing now that everyday people should be paying attention to?
Collaborative home ownership.
Yeah, you said that a few times on this show, and I think the message is out. If you could do collaborative, if you can't do it by yourself, find a responsible person who's financially stable to do it with. Like you said, those two girls, I love that, with the two young girls working. The sisters.
Yeah.
And they bought the condo and then ended up, boom, a few years later, pulling out money to get another one.
Exactly. And if in your circle, in your community, you can't find someone, come to Pairgap. We will match you based on compatibility.
Tell them how to go to Pairgap.
You can go to pairgap.com and you can sign up. We actually are launching our app in 2026. So you'll be able to sign up. You'll be able to create your profile. This is all about financial transparency. And so imagine a world where you can meet someone based on their finances, right? That, like, even with marriages, the biggest reason why people get married, or one of the biggest reasons why, is because of finances.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're leading with financing. What's your credit score? Everybody's transparent.
I love it.
Yeah. And so now, you're able to kind of find these partners through this vetting process. And then once you find them, then we walk you through that prenup so that you can cover everything, the roles, the responsibilities, the exit. What if someone loses their job? What happens? And when you think about co-ownership and the other party not complying, it's an incentive for you. If me and you buy a house and you stop paying, now, one, there's money left in escrow where you can kind of make up for, when things happen, right? Because life happens. But then also, you stop paying, it chips away your equity, and now I gain more. Right. So I have more ownership. Your incentive is to start paying before you start losing equity.
Yes.
And mine is, if you stop, I get more.
I love it. Good stuff. Good stuff. For listeners interested in getting started, whether investing, co-owning, or co-living, what are 3 practical steps they can take right now?
The first thing is that it doesn't matter where you are in life, get pre-qualified. Pre-qualification will tell you everything you need to know. It'll tell you how long it's going to take you if you're not ready, right? So, you get pre-qualified, the lender is going to look at your credit, income, and assets, and then they're going to let you know how much you qualify based on your income, right? But if you have bad credit, they're going to tell you, hey, your credit score needs to be this, or you need to have this amount saved for down payment and closing costs and reserves, right? So now you have a number of what you need to come up with in order to reach the goal. And now you can really predict at what point you can buy, because now you have all the information you need. So pre-qualification.
Number
2 is, if you can't pre-qualify, look for someone in your circle that has the same dream. You always talk about, oh, I can't wait to buy a house. They always talk about, oh, I can't wait to buy a house. They're not married. You're not married. Get together. Have the conversation. Put it out there to start testing to see who would be open to a transaction like this. And then 3 is just do it. Like, stop talking. People talk a lot, right? One day.
Right.
Make it freaking happen. Because guess what? We're running out of time, especially if you're in a market like New York.
When you think about your work and your mission, what does success and legacy look like for you in the housing and wealth building space?
So, I'm on my wealth building journey. I've been able to, build wealth through real estate. Now I have my business, investing in different things. And so it's really to create wealth for 3 generations, because I feel like I'll live long enough for 3 generations. So my kids, my kids' kids, and my kids' kids' kids. That is my goal. Like, I live for that. Somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb.
Right.
I'm that.
I love it. Let me tell you, this has been such a positive, interesting, and educational podcast today. I really appreciate you coming out. Where could the people find you if they're looking for you or your company? You just look right in your camera right there and tell them how to contact you or your businesses.
So if you're looking to learn more about co-ownership, buy my book. It's called Paired, a dating guide to real estate partnerships. And you can find that on Amazon. You can also go to pairgap.com and you can find the book. And you can also sign up to be on our waiting list. Our app comes out in 2026, which is in a couple of days. And so be the first to get on that waiting list so that you can meet a compatible partner and buy today.
I love it. I love it. Today's conversation reminds us that home ownership and wealth building don't have to be out of reach. They just require access, education, and a willingness to think differently. From co living to co ownership, Nikki is showing us new pathways to build stability, community, and generational wealth together. Nikki, thank you for joining us on Corey's Corner and for sharing your insight, vision, and commitment to expanding access to home ownership and wealth building for our communities. We appreciate you for joining us on Corey's Corner.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay. For our listeners, if you found value in today's episode, please make sure you follow, subscribe, and support. This has been another episode of Corey's Corner. Until the next time, keep pushing, keep grinding, and always remember, it's not where you start, it's all about where you finish. I'm Corey Pegues, and I always keep it right, not real. Peace.
Special thanks to our executive producer, our engineers, and much respect to Corrupt Mob for making Corey's Corner possible.
Once a cop, let it knock, yeah. I for one thing we should celebrate redemption instead of condemning it. Corey Pegues, what up? Talking truth, bruh. Check it out. Once a cop, I used to hunt the block.